this video, I'll be covering topic with regards to model context protocol in Copilot Studio using the Dataverse connector. Now, I have already covered multiple videos with regards to what is model context protocol, how to use the Claude tool with the model context protocol, the concepts around model context protocol and Dataverse. Now, this is just a follow-up video on that. So MCP, as we all know, is Model Context Protocol. It's an open protocol that basically allows integration between LLM applications and the external data sources and tools. So if you have an external tool provided by a different third party or vendor, your AI solution can integrate that solution and then provide responses on basis of what is contained within that data sources. Now this is a standardization process. It streamlines the interaction between AI models and Dataverse data. Now it makes it more efficient and effective for developers to apply Dataverse rich data capabilities when you use this functionality. Now, what are the options you get when you connect Dataverse MCP server? Now, in a Copilot Studio, when we want to say connect say Dataverse as a data source, there is a way through which we can connect, we can add as a knowledge the Dataverse table. Now what happens with that approach is you need to manually add that. Then if you want to query something, you may need to perform some various specific operations, so there's a long step involved in it. Now MCP makes all that simple. Now, once you have the MCP Dataverse server connected, it's just a matter of fact, you just type in a normal regular prompt and you can make use of the tools which are available out of the box. So, some of the tools which are available, when I say tools, is basically a set of actions. So, list tables. So, you can actually list down all the tables within your Dataverse environment. You can describe the table, so you can get the T-SQL schema definition of the table in the Dataverse database. You can create a record, so you can insert a row into a specific table in the Dataverse database, and then once the row is created, you will be presented with the GUID. You can extract the GUID and then you can perform further action on that particular conversation. You can read the query, so you can use the listing of the knowledge sources to check if any knowledge is configured. You can use this tool if the table doesn't exist in the configuration written by list knowledge source. Now you have an option to create a record, you have an option to update a record, you can list the knowledge source, you can retrieve the knowledge source, you can list the prompts, you can execute the prompts as well. So I'll cover that in the demo. Now some of the use cases which I can think through is, say, if you have a query to be performed like show me list of accounts, or how many total contacts, or contacts with no email address, or we can make a complicated query like contacts whose name starts with A, resides in Seattle, with no email address. We can add a record to the table with or without a specific column. uh, we can list the total tables that are available. So there are many boundless use cases which we can utilize to perform that action. Now in the Copilot Studio interface, you will see a section when you click tools, add tools. So if you navigate to tools and then you click on add tool button, so here you will see model context protocol. Now there are quite a few model context protocol available out of the box, mainly specifically revolving around Dynamics 365, Dataverse, Office 365, Outlook, and there are some other vendors like the DocuSign or Glenny Actions, and there's one for Fabric as well. Now, this is how the connection takes place. So you first click on Dataverse MCP server, then there are specific areas which you need to fill, which I'm going to walk you through. So details, inputs, tools, then it will ask you for the connection. Once you have that connection enabled, there are various parameters to authenticate the user, because you're connecting to a business data, so it needs to be secured. So you have an option to configure the authentication part, whether you want to get it authenticated using the Copilot Studio author authentication, or the user who's logged into the Copilot Studio and you want to take the user's context. Now, these are some of the inputs which are required. Then in the tools, this I have already covered, so we're going to go through that in the demo. Now you can also view the code view. So this is like the code view which is available. So kind of a YAML based interface. Then once you start with the conversation, like I've just put a prompt list table, so it will authenticate you, and then once you are authenticated, then it will list down the output. So uh, if I just type in list 5 custom tables, then it will list down the custom tables. Then here are the 5 custom tables from the database. Then the other prompt would be list tables whose display name starts with A and is a custom table. So yes, it gives you that response. So how many records exist in the table? Its table whose display name starts with A, listing down 10 custom field. So this is a complicated query. So if you see this, list 10 custom field names for airlines table along with the logical name in a tabular format along with the data type and business required values. So this is how you can form the query, and then it will parse the information in the backend and try to present you the response in the tabular format. So these are the some of the things which you can do. There are some things which this agent cannot do, like if you say create pie chart based on airline table, it has given me just a listing. So there are advantages and there are disadvantages, but slowly the feature is getting add a lot of features is getting added in this Dataverse MCP server. So I'm in the Copilot Studio interface. Here I've already created an agent. So that's named as Air Agent and gives me information about airlines across the world, airline configuration, airport code, and there are other information about the airline. So if you have an agent, what you can do is like go to tools, and then from here you can add a tool. Now, as you can see, I have added lots of MCP servers over here. Now there's one which is active, but I'll show you how to add a MCP server. So you can click on add a tool, and then once you click on add a tool, you can navigate to model context protocol, and here you'll be presented with various options to create that connection with the MCP protocol. Now, Dataverse MCP server, this is the one which we are going to focus on. So, Dataverse MCP server, this server can be used to get information from Dataverse as well as get knowledge from Dataverse and various other tabular sources. To check what all sources this server can access, use the list knowledge source tool, and then you can respond with the source and table that the server can access. So there's a lot of capability over here. So you click on Dataverse MCP server, and then from here it will start establishing the connection. Now remember, if you do not have already have a connection in place, it will try to prompt you, and then it will create a connection within your environment. If the connection exists, as in my case, it will select the best possible connection. Now you have an option to change the connection as well or create a new connection. Now once it is done, you have an option to add to agent or add and configure. Both are kind of similar. Option is add to agent will just add it to the agent and it will not land in the configuration page, but in my case I will just say add and configure. And once you add and configure, you should be presented with a screen to configure the Dataverse MCP server. Now, as you see in the interface, it has added one more Dataverse MCP server. So I can see Dataverse server MCP server 1. So let me call this as July 2025. Now, let's see what all options we have. So first we can turn on or off. So enabled or disabled. Three options. If I click, I can go to open code view. So I can see the actual interpretation of what does this MCP server contain. So the kind tag, model display name, model description. Then under actions, we have kind, connection reference, connection properties. So this is like the code view for the configuration. I have an option to delete the MCP server from here. I can close the code view. And this is the first one. We can name whatever we want. A connection, we have an option to again select the connection from here. Then it will say, oh, this is available to Air Agent, okay, because we are under the context of Air Agent. But it is, if it is available for other agent, it will display that name as well. we have an option to select the connections. So I can select whatever connection I have. Now remember, the connection is like, if I go to say Power Automate or Power Apps, under make.powerapps.com or make.powerautomate.com, you will see a section called as connections. So you can have multiple connections over there. So if I go to more connections, let me pin this, and here you will have a different sort of connections which you may have used for building the flows. So you have an option to create multiple collections. So it will list down all the connections, but if the connection doesn't exist, then you can go ahead and create a new connection from here as well. So there are multiple ways to create a connection. So you click on new connection, and then from the new connection interface, it will present you the interface to uh, create connection with various data sources. So that's about connections. So let it load. If you come over here, you will see additional details. So you have an option to present to the agent, like allow agent to decide dynamically when to use this tool. So that will all happen using that AI orchestration model. A couple of other things: ask the end user before running. So do you want to ask the end user before running, because that's when you connect to a Dataverse server, it's basically a business data, so it's quite sensitive. So you need to manage that uh, particular piece of work. Then we have authentication: have end user sign in with their own credential, or you can sign in using the Copilot Studio author credentials. And then specify some description about what this does, so the user know why they are being used to authenticate. So now this description is not related to Dataverse MCP server, but this description is related to the authentication piece of work. So that's about additional details. You need not make any change over here, so that's fine. When you start fresh, you have an option to add an input. These are the inputs that are required to configure the server, but as of now, this is just like a simple demo. I won't add anything, but you have an option. If you click on add input, you can add, say, one of the inputs, like the session ID. Now, these are the list of tools which are available. So we are going to demonstrate all these things over here. So these are some of the commands which you can type for data retrieval. Uh, so once you're done with this, just click on save, and then this will be saved. So let me click on save over here. And I'm not going to use this. I've just created it just for demonstration purpose. So I'll just turn this off. So I'll just turn this off and click on save. So this the Dataverse MCP server which we have created is now disabled. The Dataverse MCP server July 2025. Now, why I created that is because I just wanted to show you that you can create multiple MCP servers. It's not just that for Dataverse MCP server you can create only one. No, you can create multiple, but make sure that it is selected for a specific purpose, because we don't want conflicting information presented to the agent. So as you see, only one is turned on. Other than the other MCP servers, we have Sales MCP server, Dynamics 365 Service MCP server. So if I go into, say, Dynamics 365 MCP server, here you will see different sort of tools available. Now I don't see any list over here. Maybe I just need to refresh and check, because the connection is not yet established. So once the connection is established, you should be able to see the list of tools. Similarly, we have Dynamics 365 Sales MCP server. So if I go to Sales MCP server, so here under tools, you will see all the available tools. Now currently I do not have that instance of sales or customer service. That's why I don't see this information, but there are a set of commands available. So I can present you that information in the next video. You have an option to select various MCP servers from here. So let me go back, and the other thing which you can do from here is you have an option to delete the MCP server. It will also show you what kind of type it is. So type is model, available to the air agent, and it's triggered by agent. So this is like a Dataverse MCP server. Server can be used to get information from Dataverse as well as to get knowledge from Dataverse. So it will give you that information. So all set. This is all we have configured. Now, why we have configured? Just to retrieve the information. So what are the different type of information which we can retrieve by using the Dataverse MCP server? So first thing, we saw that it will uh, allow you to ask some questions. So let me say, list or describe the table. So first say list tables. Now I would advise not to run this command because in your Dataverse environment there might be so many tables, right? Sometimes the agent may time out, or maybe it might just give you a message that it has expired, there's no more available capacity to run this query. So I would say if you want to filter out the query, just say list tables starting with maybe A, and then it will filter out the response. So as you see in the left hand side, it is going to the Dataverse MCP server, it is running out that query, it has got this response. So it has got the list of response of all the tables, and then it will give you the response by filtering it out. Now it has done a nice work, so it has given you uh, the filtering of only tables starting with A. And the good part is it has not taken the publisher into consideration, so that's a nice filtering as well. So I can just say list top, or just say list 5 tables starting with A. So it will understand that natural language query and it will start giving you only that selected output. So that's about listing the table. So you have this 5 tables which has been outputted. Now you can also say I want list, not all those, these are the out of the box tables, right? So I would like to see custom tables. So if I say list 6 custom tables, so when I say custom tables, means these are created by an end user, so this is not like available out of the box. So I've created an airline application, so it had a lot of tables, so maybe it may surface out that information. So I just said, oh, list 6 custom tables, and then it will start listing out that custom tables. Now some, as you see over here, currently it is not able to find through the Dataverse MCP server, so it is going through some different data source. And it has, what it has done is like it is not able to get the custom tables directly from the Dataverse. So I executed the same query, and it gave me the response. So let me share you the screen. So I just wanted to show you that like not every time the response would be similar. So if you see the screen, it says list 5 custom tables and it has given me the response correctly. But now, as it has not able to find this all this information, it has just given me a standard generic response. So quite possible it may not give you the response as expected, but you may need to tweak your query in a different way. So let's do one thing. So I'll say list tables whose display name starts with A and is a custom table. So let's see what this. So this is much precise query. So it has gone into Dataverse MCP server and it has given you that response. And yes, it has done a good job. So it has given you tables with display name starts with A and is a custom table. But sometimes remember, like it may not, it may do some partial work, but it, we have asked for a custom table, so it may not give you that correct response. So you need to filter out your query in such a way that you explicitly ask for information. So let me ask an information. So I'll say list 10 fields custom field names for airlines table. Now remember, in my Dataverse table I have 2 airlines table, so it will try giving me multiple responses as well. But here I'll be very specific and I'll say I want, along with the logical names in a tabular format, along with data type, and maybe just ask for business required or mandatory values. So I'll ask this response, ask this prompt. So list 10 custom field names for airlines table along with no logical names in tabular format. Now as you see here, it has not gone in that Dataverse MCP server. uh, Sometimes it may start looking into the knowledge source if it directly does not find through the system. But here, as you see, it has gone through different knowledge sources, but it has given me the correct value. So this is what I created. So yes, it has given me the right response back. uh, so there are like various things which you can do. I can just say create record in airline tables with name as, let's say, air, or I'll just say as Kenya Airways. So I have this model driven app. So let me show you the model driven app. And it has a list of airlines across the world. So I'm trying to add a record. So it seems that there was an error when trying to create the record in the airline table. The attribute airline name was not found in the table. Would you like me to try creating a record? Now what has happened over here is, like, I already have this application as airline, so it has 28 records. So my goal was to add a record over here. Now this specific scenario here, if I show you the power apps, so I have manually created another airline table just to confuse the agent, or just to provide that resolution. So it will be like a good case study for you to test the response of an agent. So I have a couple of airlines table over here. So it has not found that correct value. So as you see, airline and airlines. So it has picked up this airline, which is not the correct table. I wanted this airline to be picked, but Copilot Studio agent was not able to find that value. So because we know that both the table will have the name value. So if I would have formatted this query in such a way, say create record in airline table with name as Kenya Airways and total staff as 300. Now what might happen is, like, it will look for two table with the airline table. It will find the name, so it will still be in that confusion state. But the moment if I specify a specific column, and if it finds that column in one table, then it will exactly know which table to refer. So I have now restarted the agent, and I created that same query, create record in airline table with name as Kenya Airways and total staff as 300. Now it has identified the specific airlines, and it has found that total staff column as well. And it says, now, would you like me to proceed with creating the record using only that attribute, or should I look for the correct attribute for the total staff? Now, if I'm okay with it, let's say yes. And I think it will go ahead and create that record. Now, the attribute total staff does not exist in the GIR underscore airline table. Now, as I mentioned to you earlier, that there are two different tables. So, if you have such scenarios, then you need to be very precise in specifying an additional column name. Now, it has picked the wrong table, and that's why it's not able to find the total staff column. Now, I explained to you this exceptional scenario because this may happen within your environment. So, the goal here is to first make sure that you identify the correct table. So, for me, the correct table is this, but it has picked up this, but it didn't find the total staff column. So, what we can do is, like, maybe we can again specify uh, the same query, and let me paste that same query again. And maybe let me use the internal name over here. So the internal name is gcorp underscore airlines. So gcorp underscore airlines table. And again, it has picked up, now it has picked up the right table, it's gcorp underscore airlines, and it has successfully created this record. So as you can see over here, it says that, oh, this is the GUID of that record. Now if you want to verify that, maybe you can go into the backend table, or I already have a model driven app created. So let's see whether the GUID matches with the new record created. So it starts with 3033F4. So as you see, it has created this record and the ID matches. So what we have done using MCP server, we tried resolving the table, and we have created a record, and now it has successfully created this record. Now let's do one thing. Now we have seen the scenario of creation. Let's pick up, say, Alaska Airlines, and maybe let's change the total aircrafts. So we again need to specify update the record in airlines table with name as, I'll say, find the record in airlines table with name as Alaska Airlines, and update total aircrafts field or column to 500. Let's see what it does. So first it should find the right table, and it, I don't think so it has found the right table. Now it has found the right table, and it has, it first went to the old table, and now as you see here, it has going the correct table, writing that query, and it has returned that query record ID. So the response should be that the changes have been made. So let's see what the agent replies back. Now if you want to see the updates, let's go into the model driven app, go back, go to Alaska Airlines again, and now as you see, the total aircraft has been changed to 500. So like this we can perform various operations. Now in this case, it has not given us a response that the record has been updated, but if we go in the backend, we see that this changes have been made. So uh, what all things we have seen, like if you go into tools, add a tool, Dataverse MCP server, once you configure that, there are various things which you can perform. Like if you go into the tools, there are different set of tools available to list the table, to describe the table, to read the query, create record, update record. Then there are other things like listing the knowledge source, retrieving the knowledge, listing the prompt, executing the prompt. Now if I now it can do a lot of things, but whether it is better than other tools, so let's see that. So if I say create a pie chart with on airlines table with total aircrafts. So I'm just writing a simple prompt to create a pie chart on the airlines table with total aircraft column. Now it should first find the right table. Yes, it has found the right table. It is starting to put that query, and it will start processing. And let's see what output it will generate. Now it has gone to the knowledge source. It will review some of the knowledge source. If it finds the information, well and good, but I don't think so there's nothing specific related to the airlines table content, and it will start providing you the response. Now as you see the response, I expected a pie chart, but it has given me the data collection process, preparation of data in Excel. So the response is like some standard response, whereby it has asked me to copy this data in Excel, create the pie chart, and get all this thing done. But that's not what I wanted. Now there is another tool which I've already covered a video on. So this is like a Cloud desktop tool. Now in Cloud desktop tool, I've already connected this to an MCP server. I've covered that in a separate video. You can have a look into that in my channel. Now here I've already connected this MCP Dataverse. Now I've already created that query. So airline staff pie chart. So if you see uh, this particular airline staff pie chart, which is like a recent query in the Cloud desktop, here what I've done is I have written that same prompt, and within that same prompt, I have specifically mentioned to create a pie chart. And what Claude tool did is like it actually generated a pie chart. So I just wanted to show you the output. So let me do one thing. Let me restart the Claude desktop because I just opened it long back and I want to start fresh on that. So if this thing happens with the Claude desktop, just go ahead and kill the instance. So I'm just killing that instance. And you go and click on Cloud desktop, and it will load. Let me see if it can access the pie chart. Yes, so I have already put that command, airlines, create a pie chart for total staff in airlines table. Now it will go ahead and list the tables, and it can describe the table and then read the query, and finally it will generate the pie chart. Now as you see, this is like a React component. So if I click over here, it will generate a nice looking, say, pie chart. Now yes, there might be some formatting related issue, but then it will generate those content. Also, if you see previously, like I have also asked it to perform various other actions. So there is a pie chart action, then there are other actions. Now I can ask this chat, so create bar chart for airlines table with total staff and total aircraft. So I'm now putting like couple of dimensions. So I'm just checking out whether you will be able to create that. But uh, this is the wrong place to write because this is just a search. You need to actually go into the new chat and then paste your prompt or create your prompt, send your prompt from here. So I said create bar chart for airlines table with total staff and total aircraft. So it will say, oh, I'll help you create a bar chart for the airlines table showing total staff and total aircraft. So it has identified the table, and yes, this is the right table. Give you the response. It will read the query, form the query. Now this is the right query, and then it'll say, oh, now I'll create a bar chart. So it will go ahead, initiate that React component, create the data in a JSON format, and then it will start crafting that HTML response. And once that HTML response gets created, it will display you the bar chart. Now as you see, it has created that bar chart, and you will see total staff and total aircraft. So this is how you can hover your mouse and then see the content. It will give you some key insights as well, so largest staff, most aircraft, smallest operation, etc. Now why I showed you this tool in comparison with Copilot Studio is because uh, one is we need to first uh, evaluate that, okay, we have connected both the tools with MCP server, but the Claude tool has given you much more response. Now it doesn't mean that Copilot Studio cannot perform that operation, but over a period of time that feature may come in Copilot Studio. But there are some things which you can perform in Copilot Studio, and there are something which you cannot perform, and same is the case with Cloud desktop. So, just to summarize on what we have seen in this particular video is we have created an agent. Within that agent, we had an option to navigate to tools, and then from that tools, we have an option to create a MCP server connection. So, add a tool, Model Context Protocol, and within Model Context Protocol, I have options to connect to a Dataverse server, Dynamics 365 services like Sales, Service, ERP, MCP, and couple of Office 365 Outlook services. So you can use model context protocol to establish that connection with an external data source. Now in this case, the Copilot Studio is a Microsoft product, and even the Dataverse is a Microsoft product. But you have an option to connect to a third party services, like say DocuSign. So DocuSign is a third party service. It's a tool which can be integrated or embedded within your agent, and you can ask query as if it is part of that particular agent's data source. So that's it, folks. This is how you basically establish that Dataverse MCP connection within Copilot Studio. Thanks for watching.